Hello everyone, Connor here. Just as a small disclaimer, some things we may talk about on the pod shouldn't be attempted or recreated. Remember to keep everything legal, keep it between the ages, and don't tear up the ground while you're on the pull. Hello everyone, welcome to the Limited Slip Differences podcast. Hope you like the new intro. I completely forgot I'd done the new intro there. But anyway, the podcast where we talk about all things seemingly having engines in them.
With their culty dulcet tones.
Yeah. Of course, yes. You'll realise that Michael has finally got a haircut. I also got a haircut.
But I didn't really notice you got a haircut. It's only because you probably get yours cut once, like every month?
Around that, I think it was about 6 weeks or so.
I was 4 months. Apparently my hair is really damaged.
I wouldn't have said that. I thought you were tight.
No. It's just I kept having the top long and kept liking the long fringe, but I was kind of trying to relive my childhood because I had a long, big, sort of emo fringe when I was younger. But the hair's just not got the strength to grow that anymore.
Did you used to straighten it?
Oh,
Yes, of course.
Me and my sister used to fight over the GHDs in the morning.
The good old hair days. Good old hair days.
When I used to have the long fringe, and then I used to spike. I had a V, and used to spike the hair up, so you had the long fringe gelled down and then straightened in, and the sides all straightened down, and then you had the hair spiked up at the top and into a V.
I used to be like a hedgehog. I had the side spike too.
Oh, you done that style?
Yes, I was cool.
But this is not a haircutting podcast.
No, we're not barbers.
We're not barbers, and if we were, we'd be absolute butchers as well. So I've been trying to take the grinder to boys' hair. Just take that back a bit.
Or the cattle trimmers.
Oh, fuck me. Right. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but oh, you're fine.
So, not much happened to you, Michael, this last while, no?
No, it's just a couple of wee things. Got engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is the knee sore?
Jeez, I couldn't get up again. I just put my back out when I was doing it.
Did you wear the Snickers trousers without knee pads?
No, I didn't. I said it was on a pair of shorts at the time. No, me and Becca went till Malta there on holidays there last week, and I decided I'd probably need to do something, so I ended up just getting engaged.
Lovely.
Jokes aside, no, it was actually we got engaged, and me and Becca met on my parents' wedding anniversary. So the date we got engaged was my parents' wedding anniversary.
Well, there you go. I never actually knew that.
No, well, it's not really something I would say, but now everybody fucking knows. All three people. So yeah, I went to Malta. Cool spot. And I'll bring round some stuff on that in a bit. So,
warm?
Oh fuck, 34 degrees.
So it's cool, but it's warm.
Very good. Yeah, it's a very small country full of petrol heads. It's Malta is, and I've been telling everybody this. Malta's the size of Loch Ness. Oh,
really?
Yeah, it's small. It's really, really small. Maltese people are lovely.
Maltese.
The Maltese people are truly lovely. But there's that many things I could talk about in general for that. It's just been, as I say, it's been 3 weeks. So I'll maybe do it a bit in chronological order. Now we've got the big announcement out of the way.
Yes.
Unless you've anything to add in first.
Well, just as I quickly. Memories shocking these days. Whenever you hit 29, that's where Alzheimer's was hitting on. So what's new with me? So last time we were talking, my second cut, you asked me where it was, and I said it was still in the field.
And then I called over at yours the night the second cut was going on.
Well, it has now left the field.
Can't confirm, seen it for myself.
It also filled the silo pit.
And yeah, you've this this is the bit I can't get over. You've this wee small duffel area.
Yes.
That's now your second silo.
Yes. Well, as you say there, the silo is that full now. I don't think we can complain about silage now.
You still have bales from 3 years ago.
We do.
The bales from 2021.
We do.
Whenever I took out the gatepost that time.
So you actually left, and we were still at bales.
Yeah.
till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
I came out with you a couple of runs, didn't I? Or maybe one run.
No, you didn't come out with me. You came out with me, and then you put me out of the fucking road, and then you took the tractor up.
Yes. I became the commander. Still can't get onto the Massey gearbox.
I'm telling you, if you had genuinely one day in it, because you're used to power command, you're used to hit the button and it just goes up.
Yeah, either power command or like full on manual.
Which begs the question: how have you ever got onto auto quad? Because it is
Never
a
driven
gearbox
one.
with ranges. Auto quad, power quad. It's basically the same thing.
Oh, on the Deer.
Aye.
Aye, but the Deer's different because the Deer's the same as a class. The class is like a H pattern, whereas the Deer's...
Are you talking about a Renault class?
Yes.
Like the new classes are a Massey gearbox.
No, the Renault classes, like an area is 696.
Oh, right, yeah.
I actually quite like the Deer, but that's just because you really wanted her to pull between the gears. So you were happy to just fucking sit and clutch all day long. That's power quad. I liked power quad, but power quad's different again till Dyna 4 or whatever.
What I mean is,
You have.
like, it's a gearbox with ranges.
Aye, but when you're used to driving a tractor also that has a lot of manual stuff, essentially driving a power quad is like driving my Fiat but with ranges.
True, yeah, true.
It's actually easier.
Well, have you ever had much time on a range command?
No, I don't even think I've ever driven a range command.
Fuck, there you go.
It's all been power command.
Well, no,
Even like because I drove a new case there a while back, and she was full power command as well. Like she's 19 gears because she's 50k.
Oh, there you go. I've only actually driven. Well, I've drove actually. I think it was a range command case as well as CVX.
Yes,
But no, you took the tractor up the road. You did a load, and then you
fucked off home.
You fucked off home. Was right. Turned out you were going on a holiday or something.
Yeah, I was going.
Day.
Yeah.
Well, you were going away to your. You were making your meat. I wonder, like, should we now all have a wee funeral for you because you've now exited the single chat?
Well, I mean, technically, I exited the single chat 3 years ago. Same as.
Oh well, now you've bought the ring and all.
All right. Aye. Well.
Does that mean Beck owns half the Sierra?
Does she fuck? Well, she's welcome to it if she wants the heartache. Just saying.
In time to come, it'll be. I don't know. The Sierra will hopefully now work from now on. But if you're changing oil, you'll be like, Becca, come on, I need some oil money.
Here, do you want to go halfers in this? You buy 2 litres, I'll buy 2 litres. No, what was I going to say? The Sierra still needs to get mapped and all. We're still waiting on that to get done. Just while I've been busy, so he can add the cam sensor and do the exhaust. And then once that's sorted, we'll get her booked in for mapping. So all been well. She's going to the Sierra on this Sunday. It'd been nice to have had the car mapped and out for it, but not Sunday, Saturday. My head's away with it. It'd been nice to have been mapped for that. But there's no wrecking or nothing as far as I'm aware going on, so I don't have to do any real. I can drive it up to I drive it to 4,000 RPM, and to be honest, at that point that's just before boost kicks in hard and it lets out a real good turbo flutter noise. So I'm happy enough.
To be fair, like, you never drive it hard now because it's on a base map.
On road, like 4th gear, like you really don't want to be giving her any, or 5th gear, you don't want to be giving her any real pulls
because it actually happens lower down the RPMs.
It does, and you're just watching the AFR gauge like a hawk at all times to make sure you're not going lean. So
much so that you mentioned it that much that I watched the AFR gauge as well. But otherwise for me, I've just been farming, and the slurry is exiting the tanks at the minute and going onto the field. Rory's doing a great job. Did a great job with silage.
Good man, Rory.
Connor did a great job of doing the bales. I think we had... Well, obviously, the second cut is like 3 weeks... No, maybe a month nearly late.
Your dad said 4 weeks.
4 weeks,
but Paddy does love a bit of a hyperbole, like.
He likes to get value for money.
Aye.
But, no, like, there was obviously a decent crop of stuff on it. And
probably a bit stemmy. I know mine's was...
More than likely.
I know mine's was a bit stemmy, like.
It's not going to be rocket fuel, but...
Hey, this is the thing I always say. In this country, like, every man is mad to get that, that 8 weeks And this is the problem that happens, that contractors have to buy insanely big equipment for small farms and small fields because every Tom, Dick and Harry wants their silage in on the same date because of this whole quality thing, right? As you know,
everyone's going efficiency based.
I know, but the thing is, in this country with the weather, like, by the time the second cut come round, you're only glad to get it in. Like, you're literally like, fuck, as long as my silage is in at this point, I'm happy enough. So all you're crying that everybody does about the first cut and trying to get, they're nearly kind of, I'm not saying they're ruining it with the second cut, but the mindset, and it happens every year, the mindset always changes by the time the second cut comes along, because everyone's just like, oh fuck, it's already 2 or 3 weeks late, just get it into the pit. I don't care if I'm cutting in the rain at this point. And you're kind of sitting there being like, everybody's mad for the first, and can't cut until 12 o'clock in the day because the sugar needs to be out of it and all this here. And it's like,
it's just to get the dew off it.
I know, but the thing is, by the time it comes round till this stage, like, as I say, it's like 3 or 4 weeks late. Everyone just wants it in.
Well, that's, I suppose, it's like anything really. What can you do? Like, well, there's, you're saying insanely big equipment. Well, there's like tanker size. I took a week off to do the slurry out after first cut, and let's just say I think I spent 4 days. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, between milking times and all that crack.
And you have no short draws?
Not really.
Not really, no. Like, you've none beside the farm, so to speak.
I think I covered, say, 25, 30 acres at the most.
In a day?
No. In 4 days.
Oh, really?
Aye.
Well,
if by the time you do, say, start at 10:30, 11.
Sure, you're out the tractor again by 4:30, like.
4 or 5 o'clock. But, RMCs came and...
Aye, well, 4,000 gallon tankers.
And sure, in one run, it's 4 loads of mine. And I said to him, Gemma, fair play to you, you were a very good chef today. You made us some date. But like, as I was saying to him at the dinner table today, like, in 2 hours you did what took me 2 days.
Yeah. And to be honest, with the way my farm's set up here, in the future, I would nearly be of the impression of maybe not even going down, having a tanker at all.
There's absolutely, see, with you having all in one block, if
I can get a pipe put under the road. Everybody
to their own, like, but it's completely pointless to have a tanker if you've all your ground beside you. Because at the end of the day, like, your price of your tanker or trailing shoes over 30 grand now at least, and sure, by the time you've actually that paid off, instead of just paying someone else to do it, if something goes wrong, it's their problem. You
could buy, like, maybe an Oil Star 1500 or something for like 3 or 4 grand, that if you need it to put out an emergency load here or there, take 4 loads of water, like wild watery slurry out or something, or try and do a wee bit to beat the ban. Or
because there's now the grants obviously out, the amount of even bigger tankers like your
4,000,
2,000 gallon, or your 1,800 or your 2,250.
Oh, right, yeah.
You'll be able to get something out.
But I think when you're under a certain size, you don't even have to have a trailing shoe.
I don't know the specific numbers, but yes, you're right there.
So for someone like me who doesn't have that many acres, but everything is round beside them, as I say, for me, if I could get a pipe under the road, like after every cut of silage or bales or whatever, I could literally ring whoever, Rory, Jeff, whoever, to come in and say, here, like, because the distance they'd be going, the furthest they'd be going is maybe 700 metres. So I think you can still do that in one Dota pump. If you use a big Dota pump, you can still do that in one Dota pump.
I'm not exactly an expert, but yeah, you're bound to be able to.
So you would have no tankers. So you'd literally the longest bit of your day would be reeling out the pipe, and you'd literally go through the fields, the 3 hills, and then across the road, and it would be dead handy, like.
To the field across the road. Or the field along the road.
Just, I don't know, land up and steal Donald's tanker for the 3 small fields when he's not looking, like.
But, well, to be fair there, one thing about the trailing shoe, I would nearly put it down to, well, this last few years, I'd nearly say the first cut's obviously been cut around 27th, 28th of May.
It's always just before June.
And I'd nearly put it down to, we've maybe had a bit more grass in the ground Probably because of the dribble bar and the grass is uptaking better, so must be doing something anyway.
You think so?
Well, like, I've seen us. There was, say, go back 5-6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the silage would have been in. Now, it was in around the same time, and it literally took from 2 o'clock in the day to 10 o'clock at night, done dust it in the pit.
Mm.
Now it's from 12 o'clock noon to the next day at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so, must be something to do with it anyway. Must be obviously better nutrient uptake from your double bar and that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, you're right.
But have you anything else?
So this is the thing. As I say, it's been 3 weeks since we recorded. So we recorded like so we done on the pull and we done it like late.
We did.
So that was quite a late one.
And then you were very eager to record the following Tuesday after on the pull.
Yeah.
And then you went somewhere that Thursday night.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I ended up at the Drift Games, new HQ.
Fucking wanker.
Took the Sierra down.
Oh, what made it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I suppose it's there.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, see, since the new turbo, the car's a million times better. Like, well, I've had a couple of niggles with the new turbo. Like, the turbo placement's a bit odd, so she's blew a boost pipe off a couple of times, but a couple of Jubilee clips has sorted that one. As I say, like, there's, the wastegate's still giving us issues. Well,
out of curiosity, right, just a small, obviously we have to have the Sierra update, but...
sure, we've already had it.
Fuck up, would you?
Go on, what are you asking?
Well, I was about to say, if I can now remember what I was going to say. Yes, in hindsight, because everybody else is going for the big power.
Yeah.
Were you just thinking big turbo,
absolutely.
Big power? Oh my god,
absolutely.
Yes. And then now you've went...
Yeah, I seen Jack McGarry, I seen Jonathan Krath, I seen Nick Bassett, and I just went, I want to be cool too.
I am big as bear.
Yeah.
Sometimes not.
Yeah. So, when you put a... I mean, Nick's different because Nick has a massive turbo in his car, but Nick's car also revs to 9k RPM.
What does yours rev to?
I have a raised limiter in mine at 7.2, and the Saabs don't even really like going by 7 on a standard oil pump. So if I get a hard cut put on my car, I might dial the limiter back just to be safe, Yeah, like the smaller turbo, the car starts better, it idles better, it sounds better, it's just a million times better. It's what I should have done from day dot, but no, I thought, fuck, big massive turbo capable of 600 horsepower, sure, if I ever decide to go for 99 fuel and bigger injectors and all this here, like I can start pumping out real big numbers, I can be part of the 500 plus gang and all this here. And then you sort of learn that if you want to actually have any form of drivability in the car, a big turbo's shit on a 4-cylinder anyway. The same, like you see the same with boys with like big power Evos and even big power Hondas and stuff. Like they're, if you're an absolute pilot and like wear parts and all is not an issue, by all means build your big horsepower car. But for me, coming back to as opposed to having a big turbo and having to throw boost at it and making 400 and whatever 30 horsepower or whatever it was, to having a turbo now that nicely makes, say, the guts of maybe 350, 360 on low boost and with better fuel, like you're still going to be pumping 450 to 470 horsepower out of it. So I'm not losing anything, but it's a far better turbo for the car. So even for going drifting and stuff, it'll be far better. It'll be far easier on the car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but anyway, back to Drift Games. Met there. So it was a pretty chilled night. In fact, there was actually less people there than I thought there was going to be. So had a real good... actually ended up getting a real good chat with Dave. Shout out to Johnny and Chris, who came down the road with me. They pulled in Chris's BM just in front of me coming down the road, and then we went out the road together and then travelled back up the road home together as well. So it was nice having company on the way down the road. So we done that. Got chatting to Dave for a while. Got chatting to Adam, got chatting to Josh, chatting to Craig, obviously. Got to look around some of the cars. found out a couple of wee bits and pieces, so I knew what cars Dave and all was going to look at before the video, because we were chatting about them and stuff. And you know, it was nice to just kind of feel a part of it. And you know, maybe if you're down a couple more times and they maybe get some sense from it, if they start recognising you, maybe, and we get a bit better on, maybe there'll be a chance for us to do something along with them, which would be savage, to be fair. So that was 3 weeks ago. And then really after that, it was the quarry. Went to the quarry.
I completely forgot about
that. That was Memorial Day, but I have a couple of wee things I want to talk about that at the end.
I had never been.
Quarry's a good spot.
I would totally go again.
We used to go to the quarry back in like 2017, 2018. On maybe about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. I would jump in the car with Creth and we'd head up, and there'd be a few of us up there. Jack used to take the S15 and all up, and Ryan Borland and Archie and all would have been up at it, and it was maybe like 3 cones, and it was like just a kind of a chill, diffin vibe. In the summer it was really cool, you know, with like kind of the sunset and all coming down. You'd be there at about 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, so you'd go to the port, and then around like say 6:30, 7, you would then leave the port and head to the quarry. That's what we used to do. And then it was closed during COVID time, so I never got the Maltese up to it. Otherwise I would have had the Maltese at the quarry 100%.
One thing I found out, it was Stevie can drive.
Oh, Stevie can steer.
Like
he is a pilot.
Like I'll just say this much. See, whenever, like, it's been so long since, I think that obviously the last time I was in a car was yourself in Maltese.
So 2021.
Aye, like that's how long ago it's been since I was really in a car going sideways.
Yeah.
But like being in a car with you going sideways, yes, and not taking it away from you.
Oh no, Stevie.
No, but like
another level.
No, but there
he
is.
He is an operator.
The thing about you is there is fucks to be given.
Oh, 100%. I have fear.
With Stevie, there is zero fucks to be given.
No, he's trying to hit walls like
he was. We'll put it this way: it was like watching him do a wee toe tap and dance.
And you're literally sitting going, Stevie, that's your road car, and he's trying to push some man's door. But then he's also a painter, so you know, Steve, you're getting a bit of promotion here.
Never wrecked a rally.
But he's also a painter, and to be fair, a fucking good one at that.
But
so,
like, what I would say is, so we went in anyway, and I didn't wear my seatbelt, and nor did he. But obviously, he knew.
Naughty.
Private track, lad. Private track. But yes, as I was saying, so we went in, I didn't wear my seatbelt, and I was like, oh, could be grand here, maybe take a video or two, you know. And I was like, fucking right foot was clean to the footwell, just trying to hold on.
Oh, aye.
Like, he was going that now. It's like anything. You can see the videos on YouTube of like James Dean and the Shanahans, you know, and we bash cars, like, you know, basically chasing each other around the tracks and stuff. But being in like essentially a hedge beater, or well, I think Stevie thinks it's a hedge beater, even though I think he's maybe going to progress that car and do a wee bit to it.
Aye, he's plans for it. Like, if he does what he says he's going to do, it would definitely be good content for us to follow it as well.
Yes.
I can see other people making stupid decisions instead of myself.
Aye. Whenever I say the disclaimer at the start of this, like, some things you just shouldn't attempt or try to recreate.
Well, it's in an arena, it's fine. Like,
no, I know that, but what I mean is Stevie and his ideas. He should be attempting them or recreating them.
No, this is true.
But anyway, no, it was class just being in and, you know, like being that close to a car, because I was like, I couldn't do this to a car, even if it cost £500 fucking pound.
Oh no, you could. Like, see, whenever we were out, even.
No, Michael, I couldn't.
No, I like, even in the Maltese, by the time, like, after a couple of drift days, like, and I was starting to get onto it as well. Like,
I suppose, like, anything like
I was like, you know, you're going along with Calvin Kirby there, like, and Calvin's Lexus is rightly, like, it's a.
I bet you weren't between, you know, the distance of me to you.
No, I wasn't, but you were still within a close enough range. Like, you were trying to sort of cut the track to dive on him, and I did do that. And I can remember, like, even Rob was coming behind me in the GT86, and it was getting to the stage where I was sitting tapping the door. And I was just like, who the fuck am I? Like, like, who do I think I am tapping the door here? Like, you know, and, you know, Rob, like, trying to get, like, was saying, like, come on, like, you know, and, like, we'd have been about maybe, like, a double-decker bus width apart, and we'd be like, big drifters, compared to what some of the boys actually do. But yeah, no, it's. I think, to be honest, I miss the drifting, and if my car now seems to have the niggles majorly solved at this point, I think. If anything else goes wrong, whatever, but I would love to get back to drifting again.
AS250s.
Some limiter. Some limiter.
They do sound well.
Aye, they do.
But it was crazy. They look like such a much bigger car than a 200.
Aye, but they go well. Serious torque yield thing,
Yes, you say they can't take just as much abuse as what a 200 can.
I was talking to Tommy about that, and he says he's like, that thing will do all right. And given the grief it was getting, I would be inclined to believe him. So then after that, what happened? Yeah, so then
I went home and milked the cows.
You went home and milked the cows. So then, moving on then to Malta. In terms of car-related stuff, I went to the Elk. Sorry, no, not the Elk. The Halfar drag strip in Malta.
It might as well be the Elk.
Well, you have diesel BMs racing each other. Civics.
Right.
Mates in their 1.2 Fords racing each other.
Right.
Diesel Passats taking on Type R's. Jokes aside, there was some really cool things. So I landed in, and there was 3 cars there, but one of them was a turbo K20 Lotus Elise.
Oh,
they are a Honda engine.
Wait, what Honda engines do they come
K20.
with? They come with a K20.
Yeah. So the Elise or the Exige comes with a K20.
K20 or K20A2? Do you know?
Oh, pass. They had a K20 rocker cover on it.
Baffled.
So big turbo. It done one run. It's a hill climb car. Hill climbs would be quite big on Malta too, but drag racing is the big thing.
I take it it's hilly.
Not overly, to be honest with you. Well, yeah, it would be a bit, but there's no drifting or nothing in Malta. Halfar is a massive drag strip. To be honest, it's something I'd love me and you to go to. Every November they have the drag racing championships because the airs are really good ambience in Malta. So it's full of ones from the UK and I'll head over to it.
Fuck right,
every year.
Fuck.
There's some 150 of some of the best drag cars in the world. 2JZ Sierras, stuff like that at it. There's some insane stuff. But anyway, I landed in and we're standing. And the next thing, this Corsa come on, and I was like, wonder what's in this Corsa. And this thing went up the road, or up the track. So he just drove in, and it's the most chill drag strip I've ever seen. I shouldn't, nobody's wearing, no one's wearing, helmets or nothing.
Really?
Yeah. They just drive in, and then the next thing, the boy just goes. And they just take off. And the next thing, this Corsa come on, and the next thing, this thing took off. And I was like, what is in that thing? And the next thing, he came in, and he went and lifted the bonnet, and I just went around and looked. Saab Turbo.
Oh, friend.
And I just walked over to him, and I just went, hello. I was like, look, can I just show you something? And pulled up a picture of my car and showed. I was like, I have a Saab turbo engine too. And he was just like, oh, he goes, he's like, Andrew Crank and all this. And he started naming off these boys from the Saab Works page. I was like, are you on Saab Works? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, oh, this is class. So then he was actually really nice. His name was Neil Vella. You'll find a lot of the Maltese people all have really English sounding first names and then Maltese sounding. So I met people called George, Chris, Kevin, Neil, loads of all these UK sound names. But
what about their second name?
Oh, Zara, Chambray, Vella, Gauche.
Right, yes.
Yeah. So then he was like, do you want to come out and run? And I was like, aye. So we went out then where Halfar is, it's kind of like an industrial estate. So we went down the road. Now this thing's the same power as my car, right? But it weighs 880 kilograms.
Oh, a lot quicker.
Shit off a fucking shovel.
What size the turbo was on it then?
Something similar to mine, but a bit more old school. A GTX 28.
Same as that.
Aye. Well, I have the new version of that. The G25 660 is like the new version of the G. Isn't the new version basically? I think of the GTX 2871 or something, which is what he has. So it's a bit less efficient, maybe shall we say? But I mean, still a good turbo. This thing flies. So he put the foot down and she just spun, and then she just took off, and I was like, holy fuck. I have a video of it. Like, it was a rocket ship. And then, yeah, went back to the drag strip. So I know I made jokes and all earlier because I kind of wanted to make like a sort of a reel based off that. But there was also a lot of other cool things. Like there was an M5 down taking on diesel BMs. There was a Nissan GTR. There's an Evo. There was like a Mazda RX-2, so rotary engine. A lot of K20 swaps. So there was an EF with a K20 swap. An EG with a K20 swap. Then there was a Mark 1 Escort with a Cause engine, big turbo and all on it. But he didn't race anybody. I think he was just doing testing. As I said, Evo and Prezza. Like honestly, Halfar has, and there's like a cafe and all there along beside the race course or beside the drag strip. Such good vibes. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I was like. And I was talking to your man. Have you ever heard of Mark 1 Kieran?
Nope.
He's he used to take like all the videos of like all the Mark 2s and all different like on YouTube. I just type in Mark 2 Escort different like when I was like 13, and he done all the videos of that. But he does a lot of video of drag racing and all now. And he says he goes to Malta. He says it's stupidly cheap, and I was just like, oh, why did I get engaged? Because I was just thinking the money. I was like, oh, any money now, it's like, well, anything I'm thinking of doing now has to kind of be high. But what about the wedding fund? So, but honestly, I think that's now going to be something to add to my bucket list, is go till the MDRA finals at Malta. And then on the Friday, so whenever I was in Malta, I had actually put up a story Insta and said, have I got any car friends over here? And a fella messaged me and says, you should give Ruben Chambray a shout. And I was like, right, okay. And they were like, he's a Sierra man, a Ford man, you might like some of his stuff. And I went, okay. I looked him up, and he has, in my opinion, one of the most famous Sierras that's ever existed in the world. Yeah, it's very, very well known. It's been magazine featured. It's repainted this colour called Jewel Violet, which come in the Escort Cosworths. It's like one of 12. He's repainted it that colour. It is beautiful. So I was like, fuck yeah, I need to go and meet this guy. But he also happens to have a Mark 1 Escort with a Cosy Turbo, a Mark 2 Escort, fully, that's not restored. The Mark 1 Escort's fully restored. The Mark 2 Escort, it's fully original, but it has all the Burton Power goodies. Mark 1 Cortina with all the goodies. Mark 1 Transit Van, Boss 328 Mustang, and then the Sierra Cosworth up tucked in at the back. And I was like to him, I was like, do you not like worry about like having this sort of setup here, like in this garage? And he just looked at me and he just went, he's like, people know who I am, and winked at me. And I was just like, right. And then he goes, you don't be 6 foot in Malta for nothing. And I was just like, right, this is a man like you probably wouldn't want to cross, but absolute gentleman. And then the next thing he goes, so you like Sierras? Because he'd seen mine and he knew my car. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I'm going to call a friend. He has 4 Sierras in his garage. So then I was like, fair enough. This other fella called George then lands up, George Zara, another absolute gentleman. And he landed up and he was like, do you want to come with me? He goes, I can take you in the scooter. And I was like, well, I have the fiance here with me as well. And then Ruben went, no problem, I'll give you a lift up to his garage. So then we all hopped in Ruben's like daily Ford Focus, which is great. It's like a beater car. Drove up, got out. This George pops his the door of his garage, and the first car he has is a Cosy Rep 18 Turbo. So it's the same as my P100 engine. And then he has 3 Sierra Cosworths. 1 4-wheel drive, 2 4-wheel drive, one of which he gave £4,000 for, and it has 12,000 miles on it. And he turned down 60,000 for it there last week.
60 grand.
60 grand for a car he paid 4 grand for, and it hasn't moved.
Fuck me.
And then he has a 2-wheel drive, because it's like a 4-poster lift, because the space is a premium in Malta.
Yeah.
So he has a 4-poster lift, so one car sits above the other, and he's building a 2-wheel drive Cosworth above that. So he was really nice, and the shed's full of all this cosy stuff, and they all love everything's Burton Power's finest, and Burton Power's a big Ford. Aftermarket's a lot of the stuff in my car's from Burton Power. They do a lot of the adjustable arms and all that stuff. So yeah, look, the Maltese people love their Fords, and even at the drag racing there was a Sierra Cosworth there as well. So it was cool, like.
Deadly.
Aye.
So it sounds, you know.
Honestly, me and you need to go to Malta. And the weather's good too.
Where's Malta at?
Below Sicily.
Where's Sicily?
Do you know what Italy kind of looks like a boot?
Does it?
How bad is there's a crane fly in your hair. You know what Italy kind of looks like a boot, no?
Yes.
Italy goes like that. Well, Sicily kind of looks like the ball. So if you think of Italy as like the boot, Sicily's the ball. Sicily's like literally just off the south west of Italy, and then Malta's like 83 kilometres directly below Sicily. And the only reason I remember that is because he told us that in the tour guide.
Oh. So, not down the road then, but be a nice holiday sort of thing.
Even for the cars, for like to go take the missus to, I would absolutely recommend it. For me and you to go on a car spotting trip, also I think would be recommended. So that's added to my bucket list along with all the other.
That leads us nicely into
yeah.
What do you think?
What our main topic's going to be this week?
So that leads us nicely into Michael. So what are we going to talk about this week?
Based off
this fortnight.
Based off my unexpected adventures of Malta. And something we always talk about as a collective group, not just myself and Connor, but with the rest of the lads. If you were to go on a car spotting holiday, or really places around the world that you would love to go and visit to see the car culture, where would you go? So previously, as I said, I would have never had Malta on that list, but now I know everything about the drag racing culture and all that. Malta's 100% now firmly on that list. But realistically, Connor, there's one place you and I both, we've talked about it, the rest of the boys have all talked about it, and where is that?
I think most of Ireland would love to go here.
Yeah. Most of the world?
Most of the world, to be fair, yes.
I think at this point.
To be honest with you, in 2023, most definitely, certain films helped the rise of their sort of car culture. One has got the main city in it anyway, and that's Japan. So yeah. Tokyo Drift.
Well, the thing is, the Irish, I think, are quite not like the Japanese in terms of how we get on, because the Japanese are very polite and we're absolute yabos in this country.
We're sarcastic bastards.
Yes, but in terms of the roads and in terms of even like the style, like the Irish lean very much on the Japanese stuff. The Irish have always been big into the Japanese cars, and arguably the Irish drifters are as good as the Japanese drifters.
Oh, most definitely.
So, you know, like, and it's a lot to do with like small roads and tight twisty corners and all that there. But like, I recently watched Night Ride, 5-parter, where they go to Japan, and it's amazing, just the stuff they do. Like, so they went to Ibisu, they went into Tokyo, they went to, is it Osaka? Like, even stopping at like all the garages and all those places, you know, like those big JDM stores, like stuff like that.
I know for myself, right? Obviously, I have a HKS exhaust in my car.
Yeah,
but like, I don't know what it is. It's even just the brand HKS in itself.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Like they are the original that does the big Jap cannon thing.
Yeah.
And even though my exhaust is a glorified Jap cannon with fucking high power wrote on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'd be on the bucket list to go to their shop.
Go to their shop, or even, as I say, go to one of them shops, just them one of them big tuning shops.
Yeah, just to see some
just
of
to see the stuff they have. Realistically, the thing you'd want to see the most is you'd love to see some form of Japanese street drifting.
Oh yeah,
do not attempt to recreate, by the way. But that's that would be one of those things. Like, you're like, I'm in Japan. What do you call it? Juicebox got to see some street. They went to a Touge or Toge or whatever you call it.
Did they not get very lucky in the sense that
they just struck
they didn't
gold.
Actually
didn't plan
to
for
see
it
as much as what they did.
They didn't plan for it and ended up getting one of the best nights of crack I've ever seen on YouTube. Night Raid got it as well. Night Raid, whenever they were there, they got them going up. When you see the videos of the boys drifting on the highways in Tokyo, they got to see that. And then the police landed and they were like, well, time to get out of here. But your man, literally, Sam, was like, in Night Raid, was like, this whole thing just feels like a video game or a movie. He's like, it doesn't feel real. So, for me as well, to go, even some of those places, to go and drive, just be on, even in a rental car, to be on the Wangan, the road where the Team Midnight racer guys used to, test all their tuning parts. And they used to, have to get the car, they used to race at midnight and of speeds well over 200 mile an hour, to even just be on that road. As I say, I can't remember what they call the big meet in Tokyo, but they have there's the big meets and all the bees on, and as I say, even getting to go to Ibisu and Fuji, all that would just be amazing.
We could obviously talk about Japan
forever.
To Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Have you any other country you would
Poland.
say? Poland, okay.
Poland. The Polish are starting to become my... I think it's maybe because I've been watching so much from Night Raid, but the Polish remind me kind of a lot of us, in Ireland. A lot of sort of barn door, backyard engineering, shall we say. But the Polish know how to build nice cars. You look at Musk Customs and all that stuff, and even what is it, the Style Bangers, all those guys from Poland, they know how to do style so nicely. And you've got the next level drift, which is literally to enter your car in the next level. Well, A, you have to be a good drifter, but B, your car has to be on point. And I think we'll maybe talk about this later on. That's the route I think Drift Games is going to go down, and I think that's the route Drift Games should go down. Again, we'll talk about this in a bit. From two people that don't really know anything about drifting, but anyway.
We're good spectators of it. We're definitely good spectators.
The rest of the clan, the Limitless team, all went to Ultras there earlier in the year, and I didn't really have FOMO at the time, but now I have FOMO.
Now you have it.
A couple of months after, and seeing other videos and stuff, I'm like, Jesus, that would have been class. Racism would definitely be on the list. Ultras, 100%.
Well, the way we went to Ultimate Stance there last year?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's like anything really. Racism, I suppose, has the live action. Mm-hmm. It's like you used to go to Autofest and
used to have the Diffin and all.
Yeah,
it's class.
It was something to go and watch and see. And
you used to pull the car out of the car show and go on and Diff. Those were the days.
True, yes. Where the cattle's meant to be pulled into the market
and your steering wheel breaks off in your hand, and Gary Kerrigan still gives you shit for it ever since, but anyway, that's a different story.
Well, I know you're saying Poland there. One place I would actually love to go to, just in a bucket list holiday altogether, is Dubai.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I can see that.
Just from Drift Games videos, obviously they have their contacts and that they're in Dubai.
Yeah.
But obviously you're going to have lots of supercars, lots of hypercars. They're filthy rich.
Yeah.
But also there's a lot of them that like their Japanese stuff.
A lot of Japanese stuff. But the one thing I actually want to do, because I was going to bring up the Middle East as well, is, do you ever see the Dune hill climb racing they do?
Where they've fucking 2JZs and RBs.
And RBs and Nissan Patrols. And you just see them lining up and it's just, and it's just flames coming out of them and them trying to go up this big hill, and half of them don't get up and come rolling down. It's unreal. I've always said like that. So there's one video of a fella goes up, his engine cuts out, he loses brakes, he comes down, slides into the wall, and literally, like, turns his car into a washing machine. It's like a blue Nissan Patrol or something, or maybe a blue Land Cruiser.
And it's the fact that, like, you know, you go to the skid pads and they're on anti-lag 24/7 in that place.
Yeah.
Like, there is zero mechanical sympathy.
No, them boys do not care. But even, like, you would see, I remember even before we, like, I'm talking...
And
like,
they've no sound restrictions either, or noise restrictions.
Oh, really?
Oh, they can have them as loud as fucking whatever they want.
Ah.
Sure, the Emirates Drift Championship.
That's right.
Sure, some of the anti-lag in them cars...
I would love to do the Emirates Drift Championship. I would love to do that. It'll be a while. But I would love to do that, even just to see some of the stuff, like, as you say, the caliber of the cars over there.
Will the wife approve to be?
I think we need to maybe try and start making more money off the podcast, so we want to do that sort of stuff. If anyone wants to donate to the cause so me and Connor can go to the Middle East and watch some drifting, please feel free.
Don't worry, this will not be put into his joint account with him and Becca.
No, it'll be put on the joint account with me and you that doesn't exist yet. But anyway.
Probably never will exist.
What about Detroit?
Reason being?
American muscle. It's the home of, like, muscle cars.
Right. So just as that, you say that right, so... To be honest with you, I'm not really one bit fucking bothered about American muscle.
I love American muscle.
Right, everybody else is like, oh, the sound of a V8, unreal, that's crack, right, yes. Never really done it for me, unless, like, Laurie Heinehan's car, but then again, it's like a fucking high-revving V8.
It sounds like a rotary mixed with a V8.
It sounds like an F1 engine.
Aye. It's just, well, when I say rotary, I mean, like, high RPMs, but yeah.
But the likes of your Dodge Vipers sound well, but like...
They're V10 though.
Yes, but like, you know, your likes of your Camaros, whatever way you want to pronounce it, your Charger's not there. Don't really do it for me as much as, like, I think an S15 or anything Japanese any day of the week over it. But you do like your V8s and your American muscle.
Yeah. I don't even know really where the love of all the American muscle really comes from, because I'm trying to go back through, like, even games I would have played when I was younger. So you'd had the Need for Speeds, but it was all tuner based. Now, Carbon, you could get a Charger, and I had the Charger in it.
Did you ever use it as, like, your career car?
No, I didn't use the Charger as the career car, simply because they're a fucking boat. I'm trying to actually think. Midnight Club, I had a Charger. Dub Edition. One of the best games ever made, Midnight Club 3. Did you ever play it?
Oh, aye.
Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition.
I straight away went and bought Volkswagen Bora or Jetta for Americans.
Yeah. And then you could change the name, so I changed the name of mine to Bora.
And then I went airbags.
Yes.
Nice body kit on it as it was.
Borla exhaust.
Oh.
I think
full tents.
Yeah.
Or even, for me...
The soundtrack in that game was amazing.
And, right, Underground 1.
Yes.
Straight away Mark IV Golf. Brother drove Mark IV Golf, has Mark IV Golf.
I actually went for a Mark IV Golf, but was the Mark IV Golf not like one of the main cars in Underground 1?
It was one of your first cars.
First cars that shows up, yeah.
I was raging because you spent so long with either the Ace body kit or was it the Sprint body kit or Spider body kit, yes. And the Spider was the one that, like, they chopped off the middle, whereas the Ace was like a wee...
Yeah, like a lip kind of sort of thing. Yeah.
And you had your 15-inch wheels for, like, 15 races or something.
And the more stickers you could get in your car, the more, like, points it drove your kilometre up.
Did you, in Underground 2, you know the way...
We're going to do an episode on this, by the way, of, like, specifically racing games. So this is a taster of what's going to come.
Yes. Underground 2, I always found that... Do you know the way you got to a certain point and you had to meet so many style stars or points or whatever, right?
Every fucking sticker you could get.
It was...
Shoveless galore.
You kept a car. So, like, you started, obviously, your career... I did anyway. And you had a car, and say it was like an MX-5.
Yeah.
But then you moved on and you unlocked your nicer cars.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I bought a nicer car and did it up the way I would do it up, and then just left the MX-5 as fucking put every mod onto it you could just to get the style
Do
points.
you know what car I done that with?
What?
The first car I ever completed under. Well, I don't ever think I actually ever completed Underground 2, because basically when I unlocked every car, I went, "Oh, that's me done." I used a Hyundai Coupe.
I think I would have done that too. Yes.
I had the Hyundai Coupe because I'll tell you why I used the Hyundai Coupe. You could do them outrun races, and I remember in one outrun races, I pit manoeuvred the guy and spun him out, and then just put the nitrous on and drove off just by pure luck. And then because I outrun him in something like 13 seconds or something, he then sent a message. Remember, it was SMS. You got an SMS from T-Mobile. And I was like, "Hey man, that was some of the fastest getaway I've ever seen. Stop by this shop. We've got some real cool secret wheels or secret things."
Spinners, likely.
No, it was like a set. They looked like BBSs, but it drove say a normal set of wheels at that time was giving you maybe 12 points. These here give you a full 100 points.
Wow.
Yeah, so I kept them wheels literally right to the end. So I think using that car just with them wheels alone, I was able to progress up through quite a few underground racing leagues just using because of the wheels alone.
I'm near sure because I can mind whenever you actually unlocked the very last part of it, where you got all your final body kits and all that crack, and you unlocked the R34.
Yeah.
The standard R34 on Underground 2 actually kind of sounded like an R34, whereas whenever you upgraded it, it sounded like a bag of shite.
Yep. Yep.
I can mind. You unlocked it, you bought it, and then you just drove it around.
You used to get phase stage 1 hydraulics, stage 2 hydraulics, and stage 3 hydraulics, and stage 3 you can make the car bounce.
Yes.
And that's where the love of hydraulics come from for me. Hence.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you play Just much?
Never played Just.
Just, right, so, if anybody's...
We're getting away from the main topic here massively.
Yes, 2 seconds, just 2 seconds, right. So, if anybody's got the original Just game on the PlayStation, I always found, I found a wee hack in it, right? So, what you did was, you bought, right, a Mitsubishi Eclipse,
Yes.
4-wheel drive.
Yes.
What's best in drag racing? 4-wheel drives. You put it to a max, 299 to a certain level, so that it was the best in its class. Then you bet all your money, and
on yourself?
No, you then before that you trained one of the people, whether it was I think Chief and all these crew members you had. So I think at the time it was Chief. I think it was Chief anyway. I bet all my money on him. He obviously won because 4-wheel drive and most power.
Yeah.
And you just bet all your money again, and you bet all your money again, and ended up having 6 million and could buy whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And do it up as many times as I wanted.
Yeah. I didn't know
I still have that save game on my PlayStation 2.
Well, believe it. I still have my PS2.
I think I have 60 cars bought on it. Easy. We all just... I want to take a video of that, actually.
Where was Just 2 set?
Just 2...
or where was Just set, sorry? Was it fictional or was it set in...
Oh, no, I think it was just fictional.
Oh, right, because I think Bayview in... I'm near sure Bayview in Need for Speed Underground 2 set in Los Angeles.
Is Bayview not set around Hollywood or something out there? Because the
Los Angeles.
Oh, right, there you go.
So that's Jackson Heights, I think, is Mulholland Drive.
And they all in Need for Speed ones all interlinked.
Yeah. It's quite cool,
Ryan Cooper or something, I think it was in Pro Street. They all named as the the alias of who you were driving. But
this wasn't supposed to be a video games podcast.
No, but anyway, I'll shut up. Have you any other places?
Detroit, definitely. You know what? Something I never got to see when I was in LA, but then I was there when I was 21 with the boys, and all we were doing was really going out into nightclubs looking for women. What is that? Sounded like a fart can Civic. But I would love to have seen some form of lowriders in action.
Wee wheels.
Yeah.
Wee wheels, yes.
Boys bouncing the car, going up the road, stuff like that. I remember there's a fella I had on Instagram, still think I have him actually. And and he was in LA, and he was like in a rental car, but he was following. He just happened to be like following lowriders around. He like Instagrammed, put all the things in his stories, and he was like, "This is class." So just like that'd have been cool. But would I be dying to see it? No, I wouldn't. It's just
There's one thing in America I would love to see.
What's that?
And we have our version. It's called Letterkenny during the Donegal Rally weekend. H2OA.
It's not really a thing anymore, you know.
Well, is it not?
Nope. H2OA was big until I think about 3 or 4 years ago. And then basically what happened, H2OA was always the thing where it was known for you were going to get fined. The cops were going to do you. Because the cops in Atlantic City, I think it's Ocean City.
Ocean City, yeah.
The cops were like really hateful. So everybody was driving about, and everybody kind of lived in fear, kind of like, how many fines am I going to get? You know, it was kind of one of those things. And then, basically, with the cops becoming very strict, it attracted then a lot of people who purposely come to piss off the cops, and not really so much into cars. So like it used to be, they had all these meets. It might still be on, but it's definitely not the level it was. They had all these meets and all this. So it was kind of like American. It was actually more Americans' equivalent of Wallersea, really. You know, which would be more accurate. And really, to be fair, Donegal Rally, I suppose, kind of is that for us, but. It attracted a lot more of those takeovers. Do you know where people just all land round to a certain intersection, block it off, and everybody starts throwing hoops, and you normally get some mongoloid in a fucking Dodge Charger Hellcat that can't steer and takes out a crowd of 30 people.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of ones that was like setting off fireworks at the police and stuff like that there, and it just got really out of hand. So I don't think, maybe I need to look that up and maybe someone will correct me on this, but I'm nearly sure H2OA is not on anymore. Which is a shame, because it would have been class to have went to.
True. That's mental, like. There's always... Do you think with the rise of social media, like...
100%.
It's all to do with...
100%.
More and more people have realised, and then they want to go and... Yeah. There's always something.
I would even say as far back as maybe stuff like YouTube has probably...
people doing feature-length films on it.
Yeah, made like peaks and then troughs. Because what happens normally with all these events is you get people who are going because they know it's on and therefore they're interested in the scene. Then YouTube goes on YouTube, and you get people who from other places who go, Jesus, that looks class. I know that's maybe 2 countries away, or in our case maybe 4 countries away, but that looks class.
Yeah, we
should go. And then as it gets bigger and bigger, you get all these people going, well, I've never heard of this, but apparently everybody goes, so I should go to this. And that's when you start getting the people that like starts going, oh, there's a massive crowd here, I want to show off. And you see it, like you're seeing it at Donegal. Like I don't know, in my opinion, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in future episodes, like, look at the port there yesterday, like, the end of summer cruise.
That didn't feel real.
And end of summer cruise, and cops literally walking about from first thing in the morning in standard clothing. Like, doing boys. Because now the laws changed, the rules have changed. As long as they show their badge and their ID number, they can do you, even if they're in standard clothing. So loads of undercover cops everywhere. Basically,
no offence, but like, could you imagine going home and asking, oh, like, you know, what did you do today? Oh, I went out in my normal clothes with a hat on, and decided to do a range of people between the ages 17 and say 23.
Aye.
No offence.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, like, I understand, like we've said before.
We've talked about this. We talked about it specifically. Went into this in detail in episode 4.
Yes. That is, no offence, way OTT.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
What are they trying to do? What are they trying to get across? You know, so if they get their way, and they get what they want, boycott the port.
I'm already seeing And I mean, even talking to some of the PCS lads, you'd nearly get the same vibe. Like, and I know not that PCS own the port or anything like that there, but they've done a lot of social media footage of it the last few years.
They've promoted it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've
promoted what we want.
Yeah, they take pictures of what people want to see.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there's plenty of arguments for and against, and I've had this discussion with the lads, so, you know, there's none I'm saying here they don't know. But, like, they themselves have said this year the port's been very, very quiet. And, like, this was a particularly quiet year. Like, like, you know, anytime we went, there was no real big crowd. There was that one Sunday we went where there was a bit of a crowd, but, like, you know, we went in May time, and normally May is when the weather is spectacular, and that's when everybody goes, and we went one night, and we were like, what the hell? Like, why is there nobody here?
Literally. We were...
Like, we got a space, no bother, at the end of the prom.
Well, I'm not taking away from our cars, but, like, there was fuss made over... A lot of fuss obviously made over your own car, and then... You know, taking videos, because there was nothing else to take a fucking video of.
Well, that's the thing, and even, like, we went down that other time the night my alternator went kaput. Like, you know, there was more of a crowd, but still...
That was because it was specifically, like, pre-Donegal rally.
Yeah.
Let's have a bit of a crowd at the port, bit of a vibe.
This is the first year that on a good Sunday, not that we've had many this summer, to be fair, I'm not getting any FOMO from not being there. And, like, last year, I didn't get my car to the port once last year because it spent most of the time in the lift with fixing everything that was breaking. And I was like, I can't take it to the port and it end up, like, you know, cracking or something happening. So I never went to the port last year. And this year, you know, with the car being a lot better behaved. And, like, now I'm just like, I'm not getting any, like, I'm not caring. But the thing is, now you've got this here thing where nobody's going, and then the one big event that people do decide to go, it turns into a complete sabotage. People are just going to go, it's not worth it. There's never a crowd when you could go, and the big things, it's just, like, people are just going to start going somewhere else. And you see that, like, look at Marfelt BCP. Used to be the place. Look at the Alk on a Sunday night. Used to be the place to go, and then eventually people stopped going to it, and then a couple of big nights and the cops landed.
There was one night literally, and, like, you know, I drove over, didn't bother actually, I couldn't get into the car park anyway. But to be honest with you, for my own sake, I might as well not have, just because there's no point in getting a bother for nothing. But, like, there's more than 10 young folk there in a lowered fucking Bora, or an E36 or a Mark 4 Golf or whatever, right? They're closed off the car park and all. What, like...
Closed off BCP?
Yeah.
I was in BCP that night, because I was about to say I was in BCP the night they completely closed it off, and there wasn't a single free space in the car park, and everybody just turned their engines off.
But, like, what I mean is, that was this year, mind. So that was this year that, I think was it...
I was talking about the night, like, years ago.
Oh, no, like, well, I'm chatting about, you know, this year there was Out West NI.
That's right.
Had a night where they're like, oh, let's just go back to the Felt. And, you know, I would think it was 8:30, and there was police cars sitting at the entrance to the car park. Like, whenever they were 20, or they were 18, them lads, some of them, you know, fellas in uniform would have been in the car.
So I actually had this conversation with my mum the other day, and I was thinking, I was like, you've actually led me in nicely to that. And I know we're not really talking about our main topic at this point, but this is a very controversial thing I'm going to say, and I was wondering, should I really even say this in the podcast? But I think the way I word it is people will agree with me. So, obviously, north of Ireland, Northern Ireland, where we live, has been the subject of a lot of political trauma for many years, with a lot of fighting between sides, and things are thankfully a hell of a lot better now. But I think, you know, and I'm not saying we should ever go back to that, because definitely not. Like, you know, my mum still to this day can't get over that I could drive out to 5 o'clock in the morning and never worry about anything, you know. Whereas back in the day,
you hear many
a story from both sides of people being treated badly, and people will always point the finger and say, well, they did this and they did that. But the reality is, You know, a lot of bad people on both sides had their part to play in everything, and that's where I'll leave that, because I would never intend insulting. We have people from both sides of the community listen to this podcast, and I would never want to discourage that. This is completely neutral. But, like, my uncle used to, like, he had a Mark II Escort, and he used to, like, go and mess about in car parks. And back then, the police basically said, if those boys are in a car park fucking about in their cars and doing burnouts and donuts, they're not planting bombs and they're not doing anything bad. They're just in a car park with their friends, not doing anything. So they were left alone. And now, like, there isn't that same upset in this country anymore, thankfully. But now the places matters. They don't have that same focus on any of that stuff. So then, now what do they go after? Cars.
Well,
do you know what I'm trying to say there?
Oh no, totally.
And maybe I might have to edit that out. I don't know, but
well, like, there was a video put on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of people seen it, and the video showed, I think, say 4 carloads of police.
Mm-hmm.
Now, each one of them boys is on a salary.
Yes.
So say there's two cops in each one.
Yes.
There's 8. If there's 4 in it, there's 16. There's 16 men, women of all ages, getting a salary to stand there and do a man for full tens.
Or number plates.
Now, you'd have to be very silly to be doing anything stupid with that big of a presence.
Absolutely.
So,
if you are, like your man in Bundoran that done the burnout in front of the cops, like, in the Sylvia.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Like,
you know,
play with fire, get burned.
like, at the end of the day, we went to Letterkenny, we went to the Donegal rally, and, you know, you could rev your car, you could, you know, because at the end of the day, like, you know, we're in our late 20s, but there's young lads there in their late teens that can't afford to drive a Ford Sierra, can't afford to have a Type R or an Evo or any
E36
cars.
or anything, like,
any cars that can go in the limiter, make a bit of noise and, you know, have a bit of crack.
Yeah.
And you're fit to rev and you're fit to please them and have a bit of crack and banter. And don't get me wrong, if you ended up doing a burnout, spinning the wheels, doing something that
on the
could
main
lead-
road, fair enough. On the main road, if that's fair game for the cops to come at you.
Oh, totally.
Fair enough. Like, they're well entitled.
But to be in, or like, to go as far to be in ordinary clothing, to
And just walk
out,
through a car park. Doing, boys.
like that.
Catch a grip, like. So Portstewart's not on my list of places I want to go anymore. Kind of went off topic a lot with that one.
But, well, like, right, so say they get what they want, right? All the young ones
Don't go to the port anymore.
don't go to the port anymore, right? You know, where else do they go? What else do they get up to? You know, if you're not in the cars and you're not spending your money in your car and you're not getting the chance to go anywhere to show it off. You know, we're not meaning show it off like do a burnout and all that.
Just clean it and be like, I'm happy with how my car looks, I'm going to go to the port and present it.
You know,
essentially is what it is. Like.
at the end of the day, when you drive to the port, I know myself, obviously it costs money and fuel. When you get to the port, you normally like to have something to eat. Now I know what super fry, by the time I feed myself and Gemma, that's 20 quid. That's 20 quid going into the economy at the port.
Correct.
And if you want to get an ice cream, probably another 10 or 20 quid.
Oh,
there's 40 quid.
100%.
You go to the fuel station.
Oh,
you fill up.
Yeah.
There could be 30 to 40 quid.
Yeah.
So there's 80 quid
in
one vehicle. And there could be, 1,000 vehicles, say, right?
Easily, yeah.
So take all that away. Okay, you've got your families not there. But then...
But I think there's still a missing thing.
But there's a folk there, right? There is young ones and their families go there to see the cars.
100%. That's what I was going to say next. Like, that's
Take
where
all
a lot
that
of
away too.
that's where a lot of the magic of the port. Like, because we said before, your brother will go down and watch it. My dad done it.
Oh,
you know,
totally. Like
we
I got
used-
a text going, is there like a car show or something on? And I was like, oh, I think there's a mini show. But he was like, there's everything but a mini here. And then he was obviously referring to, the event, but, the crews that had been, put up. Like, people travelled from Scotland and England to go to the port that weekend. And what were they greeted by?
The
policeman in Converse.
Yeah.
Doing people.
Yeah. I don't know. It was like, as I go back to it, like, Cruise for Cancer was a great thing. And then the police said to set up the MOT centre. And Cruise for Cancer never happened again after that.
Because the council didn't want it either.
Right, okay.
The council, I think the council didn't want anything to do with it. Or they didn't want it to happen anymore.
Right.
There's literally 15 grand a year in the cancer research that is not there anymore.
Like, yeah, because tenner a car and there was easily, like, there could have been, probably would have been the guts of 700 or 800 cars at Cruise for Cancer.
You wonder, did they go back into their office and give themselves a pat in the back because they gave some young fella a fine in their ordinary clothes? Jeez,
I think some of them do.
And
like, don't get me wrong, like, if you're in trouble, who's the first person you're going to call? Like, the cops, hopefully. Like, or hopefully you're never in that position where you have to do that.
No.
So there's no point in them people saying, you're giving off about the cops, but if you were stuck, you'd be ringing them, and yeah. And like, I know some gentlemen cops as well, like, who also do go and see some of that stuff is fucking ridiculous. Just some boys have the horn for just going out and doing shit like that. Some of our cops are like, that's so sad. Like, just let them have it.
I actually, to begin with, when I seen it, thought it was a piss take.
Aye.
But then to see it was real, like...
Aye, I don't know. Topic kind of swayed away massively. But, I think we'll move on to the Versus Challenge.
Fuck.
And every week. So, there's no point in me. I was going to ask a question, but I was going to say if it's like, would you rather go to here or Japan? The answer is always going to be Japan. So I suppose the question I'm actually going to ask you is, if you had to be teleported to one location in Japan, would you rather go to a big massive street meet in Tokyo or a drift day at Ibisu?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually one I've had to think about.
Not bad for coming up with that on the spot.
Do you know what's even worse?
What?
I'm still coming up with mine on the spot. John will say, you'd probably want to go and see the big meet because you never know what's going to happen, whereas possibly what could happen at Ibisu.
I'd be inclined to agree with you. Yeah.
There could be nothing happen.
Yeah.
But you could be at Ibisu and there could have been the most amazing thing happen on the meet. At the end of the day, here's me saying certain people were heavily handed there at the weekend at a meet, and nothing really happened. Nothing happened at the meet, and here's me being like, you never know what could happen at the meet. But it's a different country, so it doesn't matter.
Well, the cops are hard enough in Japan too. But I think I'd want to go to a meet. Like, drifting's fantastic to watch, is everything, but that feeling of walking around a meet in Japan at night time, especially if it happened to be in one of them multi-story car parks, like, that's the stuff you dream of. Yes, going and watching the drifting at Ibisu is also something you absolutely dream of, but for being involved in the culture, like, if you're doing the drifting, like, we're not drifters. It may be a different story if we were two drifters talking about this, but we're simply just watching. Whereas if we're at the meet, we're a part of it. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying.
Let me see. So, right, here's one for you, right? So, I don't know what this could either be, straight away, or you had to think for a minute, like me. Would you rather go to 86 Fest in Japan or racism in Poland? He's having to think. Woohoo! He's still thinking. You know what's funny? The on-the-spot ones are actually having to think about it.
I would have found it hard enough to choose between 86 Fest in Ireland and Japan.
That's what I was going to ask, and I was like,
Let alone...
you'd be like, no, Japan, because different and all that, carry on.
I think I would take racism.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I mean, there's a lot of A86s here too, like. And a lot of cool ones at that.
To be fair, like, for the price they are, I don't know, there's folk I know, and whenever you're like twin cam, they're literally everywhere. You don't realise it, but they are literally everywhere. They're just all, majority of them, locked away. Nobody really knows about them.
Yeah.
So there used to be the veterans group, and you couldn't get into it unless you had a twin cam.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Now it's more or less open, I think, to everybody.
Is it?
Aye, well, I'm in twin cam veterans.
Oh, fuck, really?
Aye. I thought it wouldn't get accepted.
No,
Aidan, don't be kicking me out now.
Maybe you're on because you're... Did you apply like after the whole... before?
No, I'm on it this year and a half.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because
Well,
I know Aidan Carr follows the page, like. I thought maybe you'd got a celebrity. Nudge.
Who do I think I am?
I love saying that. I was actually a really good versus challenge, that one. I enjoyed that one a lot. Move on to the skids and the peels. I actually have quite a lot of one wheel peels this time round. But
I haven't that many, but I have a couple of, well,
the first thing I'm going to ask you, Connor,
Michael,
have you...
or Mike, as you may be known now as.
Connor, do you know much about the bog?
About the bog?
About the bog.
The rattling bog?
No, not the rattling bog.
It lives down in the valley.
No, the bog is in like turf.
I have before been
dabbled
on. I have dabbled, yes.
Well, so one of our OG listeners, fella Padraig Leonard,
yes,
sent me a video there recently of, so they have a Sammy 130 tractor, and then the
Iron 130.
Yes, she's like 1987. She's old school, like.
They're the cool,
yes,
like the cool cab on with like a wee spoiler in the back of them.
So what they do, he sent me a video over the other day. He has her converted to tracks.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
This is why I didn't tell you about this before we went on. He has it converted to tracks. So they actually have it set up for the summer when she's in the bog. They have her on tracks. And then when it gets to the end of summer and she comes out of the bog, they put her back on wheels again.
Out of curiosity, is it tracks on top of the wheels or...
So they have a full... basically what they do is they have a mount where they take off the wheel, then they put a sprocket on the hub. Yes. And then the tractor, they have like a mount made and the tractor sits... So they have two crawlers, one on each side, and the tractor like sits in like sort of a wee locator for that, and then as I say, the hub then is they bolt a sprocket, and then they have like the rest of it, and they bolt the whole thing on, and then it sets up as a track instead.
That is ingenious.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's actually ingenious.
It's really cool. So I was hoping maybe I got him sent because he has a few videos of it like doing silage, and then a few videos of it like in the bog. So I'm going to try and see if I can figure some way of putting that.
Does Padraig live in the valley?
Roscommon. So maybe. It's in the bog anyway. Probably is Padraig of the Rattling Bog. So that was down
in the valley.
I thought that when he sent me that, I was like, that is so cool. Like that just screams Midlands Ireland to me, like pure bogman mentality.
Was that like a chain drift? It was that good of a big old skid.
Yeah. Absolute I know it was cool. Like I thought that was class. So that was one of my ones. By the way, I need to take the phone out now and check all the other stuff.
So I've just one big old skid writ down here. It's kind of left field, but here, listen. Silage driller.
Sorry? Maybe a dung spreader.
Possibly. So I don't know if everybody's into this kind of music. But if you're driving along and you have a bit of a journey to go on, and you didn't get to see him, and you live either in the north or the south of Ireland, or you're from the mainland of the UK, Ben Nicky said at Bell Sonic is fucking, it's good music. Listen to it on SoundCloud.
That's class.
It is very good.
It's also on YouTube.
Listen to it on SoundCloud. It is better SoundCloud.
Oh, really?
Oh, I found out the hard way, yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Also, Jesse Block or whatever you want to call him.
Yep.
His remix of Hannah Montana.
I haven't heard it.
Second, hold on, to see if I can not play it, but
you'll get it. It's on YouTube, but you'll
Hold
get
Down,
it.
Throw Down, the remix of Hannah Montana.
Oh,
it is
right.
a beat and a half.
Savage.
It is class. He does a very good video of him dancing to it on TikTok. I might as well just go to it. So I've only one wheel pill wrote down, and so normally in the milking parlour I would wear waterproof leggings and a hoodie.
Yeah.
But it's like anything with me. I was in the garage the other day and happened to come upon a waterproof. So it's, what do you call them? With the straps up over it. What do you call that?
Dungarees?
Yes. So, as I would do, went into the garage anyway and happened to come upon a pair of waterproof dungarees. I thought, this actually might be a good idea, The smart thing in me went, I could get the hose, I could hose myself down.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be getting my hoodie just as dirty. This is a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. So, put them on. Oh my God, they actually fit. Things were going well for Connor. So,
at what point did you realise they weren't waterproof?
Hold on. Wait for it. So, anyway, I was milking the cows. Had 2 rows of cows through. A cow, as don't know why we call it, but we say the cow rainbowed. So she let a big old scur out of her tail.
Yes.
I don't know what's
Must anyway. Because it comes out like in a big fucking arc.
Possibly, yes. Well, let's just say I got a bit shitty. Chloride, yes. Fucking not head to toe, but waist down. Right. So anyway, naturally I was like, oh sure, I'm wearing dungarees. Just put the hose on just in front of me cell, and that was grand. I thought this is actually the best job ever,
Yeah.
That was until I looked down, I was like, the fuck is my leg getting wet for? Looked down, and I thought they were brand new set. Turns out there was fucking pinholes the whole way down one leg. And I was like, so that's why they've lay in the garage.
So they were waterproof.
Yes. And it literally looked like somebody took a fucking needle to them and was like, oh, let's have fun poking holes in these.
I wonder, did Jared try and weld on them or something at one point? Just got covered in welding splatter.
I have no idea. There's that he's tried to stab himself. Don't know why he'd be doing that. May not be his, but I don't know. So then I thought they were that good. Then another big old skid. So I went and treated himself with my father's money.
That was so goody.
As all young farmers do. And got myself a pair of new dungarees.
Yes.
And now they are a cunt to get on.
But once they're on,
you don't need a piss in them because it's quite it's a bit of a procedure to get a piss out of them, but brilliant job, keep me a bit cleaner. Thankfully I haven't managed to soak myself yet, though I would say in this weather, wearing them all the time, I'm drinking a lot more and sweating like fuck. But sure, no, that's really it. Yeah.
I have a right few things.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. So Johnny Stewart, Johnny, remember he used to work for Farmflex.
Yes.
He messaged me like a couple of days after we'd done the last episode. It turns out he's building an E30.
Funny. Not that I would stalk anybody, but I had a nosy because he followed. He followed me on Instagram.
Right.
I was like, who do I think I am? A fella that has been on the television in my room before.
Yeah.
Whilst interviewing other ones, and he came upon his E30 and went,
he's doing it
something. Not that Johnny wouldn't be, but fuck, Johnny's good crack.
He's a good lad.
Very good crack. So he's building E30.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that, but anyway, yes.
I'll pretend I
Yes.
And Colin Byrne wrote to me as well. Recently he says, he's like, said, don't be worrying about the foul language, lads. He goes, I don't think I'm your youngest listener. He says, 15, but I'm out here raking grass. And I was like, well, fair play. I happy enough to be out raking grass. Fair
listening
play
to us fucking blind, sure. What's the crack with that?
I'm happy enough to hear that. I have this down as a big old skid, and this is another controversial one, because this one has divided a lot of opinions, and now I haven't listened to their most recent podcast on it, but I think Drift Games' choice, along with Club Loose, to go to the Drift Games Invitational is a great idea.
When I listened to their podcast...
Oh, so you've listened to it?
Yes.
I haven't listened to it yet, so you can walk me through it.
So when I listened to it, and they explained...
I was hoping you'd listen to it. You were like, fuck! Very much.
So essentially, in their podcast, they were basically going, look, Mondello is a track where shit happens other than drifting.
Yeah.
So you come and you see drifting normally at the weekends.
Yeah.
Clashes are at the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
All those events and things are at the weekends.
Yeah.
Well, during the week, there's corporate events.
Yes.
There's something always going on.
Yeah, it's how they make their money.
Yes, along with drifting.
They do this, but they have the superbikes and all that. It's an international raceway.
Yes, well, international. Professional racing
Correct.
is undertaken
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like the Irish Touring Car Championship and that.
Uh-huh.
So what they're saying is, right, so you can imagine, it's family owned, if I can remember right, from their podcast. And on the Monday, so they did it in the bank holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Monday, apparently there was people going out, had never actually drifted before, and were on the main track, even though they had been advised, oh, look, maybe try the paddock.
Aye,
As in,
the rookie track,
wink,
yeah.
wink, nudge, fucking nudge.
Yeah.
So I think they were like, in one man's lap, he needed to be recovered 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the other thing was, they were like, people are going out in low-powered cars trying to do James Dean shit.
Yeah.
Right, okay, fair enough if you want to try it. Right, that's grand. And also going out in very poor quality cars that would be more adverse to the quarry, where
Correct,
it doesn't
or nuts corner,
or what doesn't really matter what happens to them. Going out with a fuck it attitude. So, as they were saying, look, it's all right, you know, in their head doing that, but whenever they go off, whenever they bring stones out onto the circuit, you see at Drift Masters and you see at all these other big events, there's a tractor in having to brush that away and that.
Yeah.
All that costs money, all that takes time.
Yeah.
And they were saying people in the driving queue were like waiting half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
So it was taken away from other people's days. But anyway.
The thing is, what I'm going to say now is, I was watching like Night Ride's video of, you know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, Drift Games getting too big for their boots. Not like, I'm completely for Drift Games. The ammunition and firepower people will come back and say, well, look at the videos of boys in Ebisu of Night Ride, and they're out in like these old Nissan Silvias and all that there, and they're all rough as fuck and hanging together and rusted stupid. But it's also Japan, and it's not, Ibisu's not a purpose-built international speedway. You know, it's for drifting. There's not motorbike racing or the Irish Touring Car Championship or the Irish Rallycross Championship happening the next weekend.
Well, like, going from that, so apparently there was quite a big event on, I think, possibly the day after or the Wednesday. And you could imagine they've come in, and this is obviously quite a professional event that they were doing, or prestigious in their own right, and you know there's tire marks all over the grass.
The grass is soiled for about 3 meters.
Yeah, I like the things sort of tore up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like they were then saying, look, in England there's loads of tracks.
Uh-huh.
And even though the BDC had the money when they were running it to easily get into any of these tracks, they just went flat pack no, because they had been damaged.
So when do you ever hear of anybody drifting at Silverstone?
Just doesn't happen anymore.
I mean, Brands Hatch there's a bit, but you know, Mondello Park is the closest thing we have to the likes of Silverstone.
Like, I suppose like anything, obviously, how does new talent get better. Naturally, some people think, oh, we go to Mondello, get loads of seat time. Right, fair enough.
Where else in the world do you go to an international speedway as your first drift event? Go to Eglinton, go to Nuts Corner, go to 360 in Kerry, go to Watergrass Hill. There's plenty.
Totally, yes.
Go to Manor. There's plenty of places you can learn to cut your teeth. Mondello's supposed to be actually quite forgiving if you have a bit of drifting experience because it's quite wide. Mondello's quite forgiving if you know how to do left and right drift, left and rights. It's actually supposed to be fairly forgiving, even because you just don't go for you just drift the inside rather than drifting the outsides.
Oh, totally. But like the amount Mondello obviously has done for drifting and promoting it and all that, and yes, they'll say about drift games is getting elitist and all this. They're just trying to keep the relation. Like they're
completely agree. They're
obviously trying to please all parties. And as you say, one thing they also added was there was a grant came out for farmers years ago, and it was first come first served basis, and it was overrun, and people were just putting in for any Tom, Dick and Harry thing they could, and they're saying every time they release the driver entries for it, they just go within 2 minutes because people just buzz straight away to try and get them, which is fair enough, and it's good for them because they're selling out their events, but at the same time,
me and you could have done that. You
don't want to take your Sierra in along with a boy with an IS200 with possibly the back caved into it at the quarry. You didn't want to. You wanted to go in your own for the 1 or 2 seconds that you were in there so nothing could happen. You were in full control and the only one who could fuck up was you. Because you spent way too much money in your car.
Yes.
And then there's other people come in, and if they beat it off the farmer's hitch irons for his cattle crush or sheep crush, doesn't matter. Fucking, not a care given. So no wonder there's boys there with 50 grand S15s, 100 grand S15 drift cars, and they don't want to go because they could be hit and ruined by somebody that hasn't the experience or hasn't the power to do what they're trying to make the car do.
The thing is, right, everybody was going like, drift, these boys are all getting so elitist, like, do they not realise how expensive drift cars, like, if I don't have 50 grand to spend on a drift car, I can't do this. And I'm sitting going, well, first of all, a drift car doesn't need to have MOT, which means I can have a couple of bad sills, like, as long as your car's safe and passes scrutiny. Like, my drift car, my drift Sierra that I'm building, well, I say I'm building, haven't looked at it in literally months, but it's not going to look the prettiest, but it's going to be welded together strong enough that it'll be safe, and I mean, I'm putting Causey parts on it that I just got from, like, all the parts I was able to get quite cheap, but if you go and buy an E46 BMW, like a 330 CI, well, they've plenty of power. There's no, and people are saying, making this money. It was like, if you're putting a body kit on your car and making it look nice, like, the whole idea of drifting is as much about the aesthetics as it is actually about the driving. Like, look at all the cars from Japan. The reason why we know the cars from Japan is because how they were styled.
Out of curiosity, I have one question, and it's kind of off topic, but I'm trying to get a small bit of a point across here as well. Right. So, you turn on CarX Drift Racing. Right. You go for either a, say, likes of a twin cam, whether it's a hatch or a bitter, or a coupe or a bitter. Tells us, do you just put it straight into the game in Mandela Park?
Not a fuck.
Or is the first thing you do is you put it on Ultimate?
Oh, put it on Ultimate.
Yeah, because, more power and all that, yes. Aren't all racing games a disaster with, the standard thing? Yes. Well, it wouldn't really be probably wise to try and make a standard BM twin cam, anything like that there at all, with under 200 horse, do things, but probably some people are trying to do with it.
I don't know, like, if you had a 330 BM, like,
over 200 horse at least.
Yeah, they have enough power, even a 328, even a 325. Wall drift, like Niall Garrity started drifting Mondello in a 325. It's not maybe the most ideal, but you can still do it. But there's nothing like, you can buy fiberglass M3 skirts for dirt cheap. You can buy a fiberglass kit for cheap. Like, then they're saying, oh, you need, like, the car needs to be this. Like, Jesus Christ, photos are taken and drift cars taken from miles away. And drift cars look really good in photos, but they don't look that great up close. Even some of the nicest and best drift cars in the world, still, you look at them and go, there's a battle scar here, there's a battle scar there.
Naoki Nakamura's car.
Correct.
When you see it in Drift Masters and you see it up close, it has battle scars.
I don't want to say it's rough. It's not.
It's just got battle scars.
But it's got its battle scars. Like, you could literally rattle can the front bumper. Say you buy a silver E30, an E46 330. You know, an MOT failure. It's failed maybe on, like, you know, bad, like, maybe sills or something like that. They are rusted rear arch. Sure, even if you just cut that arch out and put on like a skirt, like an arch extension or something like that there, like, you know, like, as long as it's safe, you know,
or even do what Stephen Halford done.
Use guttering for your side skirts, like, you know,
like, or even you could try and do what Stephen Halford done, buy an estate.
Aye,
they're obviously not as sought after,
and clearly can still be driven very well, as the man won the drift games amateurs with it, like.
Pro.
So, like, you know, so all these people, like, oh, it's costing a fortune. It's like, no, you just don't want an excuse, or you're just looking for an excuse to not have to spend money on your drift car. And in which case, if you are of the impression of, oh, I just want to go and take my E36 Compact 318 and just mash it, and I want to go out and drift it, by all means, more power to you, but Mondello isn't the place for you. And I say this as someone who isn't in that position, because I've never drifted Mondello in my life, other than Car X. But for the sake of the sport and for the sake of media coverage, like, you know, photographers and all going, they're not going to take pictures of, like, an E36 Compact with no bumpers. You're going to want to get pictures, even if you were driving an E36 Compact, and I say E36 Compact because boys shit on them quite a lot, but if you had one with a 325 engine and it's stripped out, 180 horsepower, but it's light, and you have a nice kit on it, you know, and a set of rotas, you're going to get photos taken of you if you're going sideways, you know, and it's as simple as that. You know, an extra couple of £100 isn't going to, like, you know, and the thing is, if you have bumpers and all in your car, you are going to drive within your limits, because you aren't going to want to crack your bumper.
Oh, completely.
And if you are, you're a masochist. So, you know, or you have the skills where you're like, I can run my bumper against this wall, and if I take my bumper off from this wall, well, you know, fair enough.
Like, you would probably be better, like, and go to Nuts Corner or that, like, go to them track days essentially, and, like, you know, learn.
I whenever my Sierra first comes out, like, whenever that may be, maybe never, who knows, I would, like, you know, it'll be coming out if it's ready to run.
You'd like to take it to, like, say, Bishop's Court and that.
I would do Bishop's Court or even Nuts Corner if it didn't have a body. Like, if I didn't even have a bumper, if I just had a bash bar front and rear on it, and I wanted just to see how it skidded at all, like, you would just go to Nuts Corner, because if it's a bash bar and you clip the wall, it's no big deal. You know, it's fine, and you're learning how the car is set up. You know, and you can have plenty of fun at Nuts Corner, like. So,
completely.
That's
and plus they're always wet, less money in tires.
Correct.
So you can get better. You're learning how to drive in the wet.
And I don't mean to say this as an elitist point of view, because I can't afford it either. But if you're the type of fella who's struggling, like, there's lots of boys literally are putting their last. So I'm not like these boys. I'm not saying like, oh, you have to be rich to do this. There are boys that literally sacrifice everything to go down to Mondello with their race truck, and they'll sleep in the truck or whatever, so they have enough tires and stuff like that. But if you're going down and you're complaining that you only have 3 sets of tires to do you for an entire weekend, the bash isn't for you. It's as simple as that, you know. And
their decision is for short-term loss for some folk, for the bigger gain for everyone.
Well, you look at it and you see boys then maybe from Poland or France or whatever, or England going, Jesus, like, look at the cars. I have a nice, my drift car looks nice, and Jesus, that looks class. You know, when they see pictures of all these deadly looking cars all out drifting, you're going to go, I want to be a part of that. the same boys, if they've a dead looking car and like drift games bash, and there's an XSIS 200 with no bumper and no bonnet and the quarter panel's all driven, you're just going to go, Jesus, like what is this like?
Well, like, or even another way possibly you could look at it as this: the likes of James Dean, arguably the best there's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
He goes with his 335i with a full lock kit on it. That thing's over about 300 brake.
Oh, far more.
Right, so over 300 brake. He might take that to Mondello for the crack, for the bashes, right?
He also takes it through a silage field.
Also takes it through a silage field. But what I'm trying to essentially get at is he'll take the likes of that to hone his skills, but it's still over 300 brake and still has a full lock kit on it. You know, he won't exactly go there on a 130 brake car. You know, he probably could because he's James Dean. But, like, you know, I suppose like anything, if anybody ever asked you the question, and that's what I suppose I'm trying to get at is, you know, if somebody asked me why is Ireland got the best drifters, you know, first thing comes into my head is, oh, well, they earned their keep in their low horsepower cars, diff and crossroads and all that carry on.
Back roads, yeah.
Right? And then they maybe progressed to Nuts Corner or to the Manor or that. And then they're like, we can chain drift here.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we'll spend a wee bit more money. And I'm kind of getting a bit of a bug for this. We'll maybe go into Pro-Am or go into Amateur. And they're always at like Tullyrowan or Nuts Corner or that.
I love Tyrone.
And then
Tyrone's one of my favourite events of the year.
You might get a bit more confident and you're like, oh, we'll try the Pro-Am because you get the Pro-Am licence and you move up. You know, there's stages there.
Yeah, you're not just going out into Mondello in your first drift event and expecting to be big drifter, like. But we still have all our stuff, so let's keep her lit.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Adam Bowes, or Bose, or Bose, as he tells us to call him. To us, says he's enjoying listening to us.
I was at work and I was talking to someone whilst doing my job, and this fella reversed back in the tractor and was like, well, it was crack. Hey, I listened to your podcast. Meanwhile, now, the fella that I was speaking to whilst doing my work was like, the fuck? And I was like, oh, this is kind of awkward. Alright, cheers. But as like any time I was caught off guard and I was like, oh, what am I supposed to say here? But yes, it's nice that he listens and he enjoys it, and at least we get him through the milking. Do we have any more time, or does Michael have any more time to edit to make them come out quicker? No.
Unfortunately not.
You'll take what you're given and you'll still enjoy it.
As long as you do enjoy it, that's the main thing. Colin McDonnell, you may remember me talking about him before.
Possibly, yes.
He pulled me at the barbecue at work last week and he goes, sir, this is going to have to go in your podcast. And I went, well, it sounds like what you're going to tell me is going to have to go in my podcast. Well, remember he done the video there of him putting the grinder disc into the CD player of the car, and then the next thing he cut the roof off the Audi A4.
Yes.
Well, it turns out he's turning the whole front end of the Audi A4 into a barbecue. So he's making a barbecue out of the A4. And that's why he's going at it with a grinder. Fair play.
I don't even know what else to say to that.
I go try and dibs his engine because it's a PD 130. It was owned by another fella I work with, and they're longitudinal. So if he sells it to me cheap enough, I'll hone it for an P100 engine swap that I'm never going to do.
The PD130?
PD130.
P130.
P130. Also, another note, Padraig Leonard apparently were appearing in his dreams. I asked him were they wet dreams. He said mildly damp at best.
Michael, I heard that you didn't sleep well tonight.
I don't sleep well at night.
No fucking wonder. You're fucking spooking the shade out of Padraig Leonard.
Conor Kelly also has a wee apprentice out with him. Apparently the apprentice, Harry Neville, listens to us, so I had to give him a shout out under Conor's orders. And finally, because he doesn't have his surname on his Insta, so I don't know his actual name. I just know him. He's Kieran. Kieran _6215X. So we were talking about him a while back. He's a 330D. This really I should be going down as one wheel pile rather than a big old skid. But anyway, I'm here now.
I thought we were at the mentions part of the podcast.
I've started combining both because we're running out of time.
Yes.
So
how much time we have.
he was telling me his 330D, and he's planning on putting a John Deere turbo into it. Sent me a link to another video of another fella who's doing it, so he wasn't actually talking shit. Not that I'm accusing him of, but a lot of people do talk shit. He was saying, he goes, he needs an engine. I goes, why do you need an engine? He says, well, he was at the usual private location in Mexico, throwing a few hoops, and he said she was going very well, and he took his foot off the accelerator, and the car still kept going.
Oh.
Dieseling. Do you know what that is?
No.
When basically diesel starts to get into, or oil gets into the compression chamber, like into the cylinder, you know, and basically she starts running on. You've heard of run on?
Yeah.
So basically the car starts to run on, so you're replacing the oil, the diesel, with oil, and she keeps revving and revving and revving. And he says he tried to get her stopped and get something over the intake, but he says ran out of time and she went kaboom. So he needs an engine. So if anybody's got a 330D
Your
engine
stomach
and running
made a
gear,
wild noise.
I know. If anyone's got a 330D engine and running gear, give Kieran _6215X a shout out on Instagram. Moving on to the one wheel piles.
Fuck.
This time last year, well, at the time of
me, a lot of them.
Yeah, I do actually. This time last year, I say this, but it's been like 3 weeks, so I wrote this down like 2 weeks ago. I got a memory on my Instagram or my Facebook timeline of the clutch of my car blowing to pieces.
Yes.
So I was just looked at that and went, Jesus Christ. So the clutch I have on now made the car 10 million times better to drive, far better job. Should have done it right first time. Hi-ho, spaghetti-o. Do you know what really pisses me off?
No, but you're going to tell me.
I absolutely am. See these hers, and you see it at King of the Cone, you see it at the Quarry, and you see it at Knox Corner. See all these hers when the red flag comes out to say your time's over.
And they're like,
get the fuck out of the arena. No one cares about you going and doing your extra fucking wee whirly-burlies around a cone. I'm being fucking serious. No, it seriously pisses me off because you're watching it and you've got some man, Alexis, still hooping, and the man standing with a red flag going, get out, and everyone else is sitting in the line waiting to get in. And what happens then? One person does that, so the next boy gets pissed off, so he then stays on, and instead of maybe getting, I don't know, 10 runs in a day, you get 8 because some dickhead decides to spend the full length of time going around cones and all after the checkered flags come out. Get out of the arena, have your fucking peace, stop being a main character, get the fuck out, stop ruining people's days. Swear to God.
Are you okay, Mike?
No, it seriously pisses me off. You see boys and it's like they come on, it's like get out. See anybody, if I was ever organising an event and the person didn't get out of the arena, I would turn around and go, you're not coming back in because you can't listen to simple fucking rules.
Okay.
Like
Michael does be friendly at times too.
Don't be a twat. You know. And finally,
sounds like you grew a set of balls in Malta.
That's seriously pissed me off. Like, and finally, the biggest one wheel pile of them all. And I actually told this to a fella at work, and he goes, "Never tell that story to anyone ever again." So I'm going to tell it live, ish. The other day, well, I'll say the other day, but 2 weeks ago when we were taking the bales in the first cup, one of the fields is really, really lumpy. Like it's like a river. Not because it's wet, but just because it may as well be waves of the ground going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yes.
And in a bid not to mark one of the bales with where it was sitting, I jumped out and tilted the toes of the bale handler back a wee bit. So then it could basically go into the dip and I could reverse back the bale on. The bale wasn't sitting up and it wasn't getting jabbed by the bale handler. So the field which I was coming out of basically has a big steep incline to come out of it. So I was coming I was doing it at Rusher.
I feel like this. I know where this is going.
I was doing it at Rusher, and it's a really, like, coming out of it, it's shit. So you're having to constantly clutch forward, and then you're like, fuck, there's a car coming, and you stop, and it's blind, so you can't see the last second. And I kept jolting forward, and finally I got out onto the road, and I was like, oh, thank God for that, and looked behind me, and the bale wasn't on the bale lifter anymore. I was lying in the field.
That is such a Michael Scullen thing to do.
And I just looked, I just went, fuck!
That's the most Michael Scullen thing you've said all day. I want to lift a bale out of the field, and the bale fell off before it got out of the field.
But it's because I didn't even see behind me. So someone has seen me driving. Someone has been driving by the field as I'm on the road and looked in and watched the bale fall off.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Was the bale standing up or was it lying still?
Oh, lying still.
Oh, you're lucky because if it had
Deadly lucky. Oh, aye, deadly lucky. So it literally just must have shimmied itself off. But
can I say what everybody else is thinking right now? You're a fucking spot.
Aye. And then I said that to Brian Working, he goes, never tell that story to anyone ever again. But it's because of the way I'd adjusted the toes down. But then never
A shit driver always blames his tools.
Correct. Oh, well, I'm fucking terrible, like we all know this. So, on that note,
I thought you were going to say that the tractor did a wee wheelie because of the weight of the bale.
Oh,
the bale fell off.
Consistently wheeling. But oh no, coming out of there, the tractor was constantly lifted. The second cut bales were heavy, like. And on that note,
it's time they end the pod.
Follow Connor on
Connor.McGoo at everything. And don't follow Michael or he'll lose his bale again.
Follow me on Instagram, TikTok. Not that I use my TikTok that often, but Instagram mainly at Michael Scullen _ And you're, as you say, Connor McGoo and everything. Connor.McGoo and everything. I need to learn that. I got a haircut.
Oh, we already know
We've
that.
established this. Yeah.
You actually came out of the field without the bale.
I didn't realise until I was on the road and just went.
Like, there's not that much weight in the back of the tractor.
I was just so glad to get out of the field. Because
was this the field beside the road?
No,
that field there?
Across. There's a big tree as you're coming out of the gate, so you can't see up the road. I ended up taking a barrel and putting it on the side of the road so I could drive further forward. So people would have to go out around you.
I'm still baffled. I'm actually still baffled.
Does this not happen to other people?
No. The worst I've actually ever had, right, was in Earlo Loader we actually made, so we took the ramps off it for where the digger goes on.
Didn't the bale fall? I was there that night.
For it. I don't know if you were there that night or not, but anyway, so we put the extension on, but it left the back of the loader while heavy, so you couldn't put too many bales in the back of it. But anyway, the story goes, I was coming in the end of my lane a wee bit too quick.
I was there that night.
And a bale fell off.
Yep.
Loader. Now, when I say a bit quick, probably fucking, I probably was driving stone mad like at the time.
I remember seeing you.
And then
I was coming
like,
to meet you, and I was on one of the road ends, and you just went vroom by me, and I was like, holy fuck. I remember that night. That was one of my first nights ever been out with you in the tractor. We were in the 43.
Was that one other night actually where we were drawing bales? We had gotten ground. That was it. It was the November silage.
No, we done that as well. I remember being with you for that. But these bales, I remember you were taking them from behind George's house.
Yes.
And the bottom, you had to leave like so many on them behind because they were basically baled dirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I know. You left the bale behind you. Wow. I thought you were going to say, like, fucking the back of the bale because I tilted them down a bit or whatever. It trailed the back end or whatever, and I, burst the bale
because it was tilted down, plus coming up a hill, plus constantly wheeling the tractor. It just, like, shimmied itself off on the ground.
Anyway, on that note, take number 2. Thanks very much, everybody, for listening to the podcast. If you made it this far, we are now currently recording at 2 hours. So we've chatted a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Michael looks like he's about to cry. He's tired. Yeah. And on that note, all the best, guys.
See you later.
Cheers for listening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.